This is a Poet Punch podcast.
And we're back.
Hello.
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 Go on, roll a number.
All right. Roll a number between 1 and 80. We will get 26.
It's a low number.
Oh, I think I prefer the low numbers because the high numbers are where they start getting to like...
Sheep blob.
Bleep blop.
And it's like, fuck off.
All right, so 26.
I'm dying for the 8-Ball episode.
Yeah.
Like, literally, 3D Man and 8-Ball was the reason why I even pitched this in the first place when I saw those two as an option.
Maybe one day we should be like, okay, we're just taking from page 1.
And it's 8-Ball.
Yeah.
If I ever get to decide what it is before we start an episode, best believe it's between 3D Man and 8-Ball.
Yeah. We could flip a coin.
Yeah.
Okay, we're here.
Right.
A lot of Fs. All right, let's take from this.
I'm curious. This one looks interesting. I'm not even gonna. Right, go on. Roll the dice. Roll the dice.
Oh, that's not the right one.
I hope we get low key. If we get Forge, I'm gonna ignore your X-Men rule because I love Forge.
3.
Fracture, Fracture, Frankenstein, Fracture podcast, Frankenstein's monster, Franklin Richards, Franklin Storm Freak. I'm very ready for any one of this on this list.
5.
Franklin Storm. Is that Human Torch's dad?
Yeah, and Sue Storm's dad.
And Sue Storm's dad. Alright, click on it. There's stuff we can do here.
There is actually. Now, do we set this in the Doomverse, or do we do an MCU?
I think we do an MCU.
I think we do an MCU.
I think we do why the Fantastic Four are not spoken of in the MCU.
Now...
Hear me out.
Right.
Every fucking Fantastic Four member dies. It's just him. Probably even during the experiment in the Baxter building. They go to that dimension, they fucking die. Just him left.
Do you know about the theory that the Fantastic Four that we see in the new Fantastic Four movie are from...
You told me about this, yeah.
We could leave it vague.
Oh, so that they are
like in the 60s. This is.
So this is essentially in the 60s in MCU mainline timeline.
Yeah.
So audience listeners, the theory that Tom was mentioning was essentially that there is a running theory right now that Fantastic Four is not out yet, that the Fantastic Four that we see in the 60s. When they do their experiment initially, they're on the main timeline, and then during that experiment, they find themselves in an alternate dimension, kind of swapping themselves out with whoever the other group was, right? So this would be a Franklin Storm that's now abandoned, because they've swapped out between universes and don't know what to do.
What I would do is that, for the sake... This is in the MCU.
Right.
And we don't have to answer that question right now.
Mm-hmm.
All we have to do is explain why there's no Fantastic Four in the 616 universe, right?
Right.
So we can do it. I reckon what this is this is more of a movie...
TV special again?
Oh.
Again? A thousand special looks. Do you
know what I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Like, it's more of a show... about
TikTok. It's a 5-minute
it's
TikTok.
5-minute TikTok, yeah. I'm thinking it's more of a show about the heroes that are around in the 60s.
Yeah.
So you've got like
Hank
the
Pym.
original Hank Pym.
Yeah.
You've got Janet Van Dyne. You've got...
Which one's Janet Van... Oh, the
wife.
yellow, yeah.
You've got like Peggy Carter.
Right.
And you've got like...
Franklin Storm.
Franklin Storm. And you've got, what's his name? Stark.
Howard Stark.
And it's...
Who else? I feel like there's others. You got the boys. Not the TV show.
Oh, the Howling Commandos.
Yeah, which we've mentioned in Glyph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that we could do a show that's about like a proto Avengers that was formed in secret. They all work for Shield.
I've got an idea.
Yeah.
You know that Young Avengers plotline that we had with Metal?
Yeah.
You essentially have this be like a prequel episode, like ooh, how is this connected episode? And then it's kind of revealed to be like a season finale, it's all coming together moment in Young Avengers. So it's essentially that you have the usual Young Avengers plotline with the tropes and the group, and then just for some reason you're thrown into a 1960s episode with a very similar dynamic going on, but with a very different Avengers from what we've ever seen
it's
before.
Only one episode though.
Yeah, but it is interesting because everyone knows Peggy Carter. Everyone knows all of the other characters like Hank Pym. They've seen them in other movies.
Yeah.
The only one that they haven't seen is Franklin Storm. And if this were to, in theory, be released now-ish, that would be an interesting way of going, ooh.
Interesting.
Ooh, Fantastic Four being peppered in.
Yeah.
Ooh, how's that? Ooh. Do you see what I mean?
I do.
Do you see what I mean?
I think that
food for thought.
I think that doing one episode of a 2-season series that we made up, is a bit of a cop out for this.
A coward.
Because the whole,
I think it's great. I think it integrates shit. I think you're a coward. I think you're a fool.
I think
you are
right. I think you are right that it does make sense. My thing is that these should be either standalone or like it should be like an entire season of
it. Maybe it should be so I wouldn't say entire season, but I could see it being like a back and forth.
Yeah.
Where you have present day stuff going on with the Young Avengers that links back to past day stuff with the old Avengers. Which maybe then also links to Fantastic Four.
Right.
Do you see the logic here?
Okay.
Maybe it's the team, the Young Avengers, dealing with grief and loss over someone dying.
How original.
Right? No. But also Franklin Storm similarly dealing with grief and loss. Maybe being like one of the... Especially because how many of that team have dealt with people being lost? Especially if you do it as a Hank Pym that's just lost...
You mean Franklin Richard?
No, I mean Hank Pym, who's just lost his wife.
So
it's Peggy Carter.
That was more in the 80s, though.
But you could move it. No, you could move that. You could have this be a Franklin Richards who has dealt with the Fantastic Four disappearing in the 60s and is now left alone in the 1980s. And so you have Peggy Carter having lost Steve.
Yeah.
You have Hank Pym having lost his wife. You have Franklin Richards having lost both of his kids and his protege.
I think this works better as its own thing.
Sure, but the dynamic's working.
That dynamic I think really works.
Yeah.
But I think it should be separate to Young Avengers.
I think you don't want Metal back.
Look,
it's Metal. He's made with the Iridium or whatever. Is it Iridium? Did I get that right?
Metal's coming back in Secret Wars, all right?
True. Is he made of Iridium? What is he made of?
I think he may have died in...
Did we kill him?
I think so.
Did we fucking kill him?
It's been so long.
Did we fucking kill him, bro?
It's been so long. To quote Peggy Carter when she's like 90.
Steve!
You came back.
We're making fun of an old woman.
Yeah.
He went through something traumatic.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, not a good look.
Miss Peaky.
Okay. I have another idea that's a bit out there.
Okay, careful of stopping the podcast.
I have another idea that might be a bit out there. Okay. Everyone wants to see
Everybody wants to see. What is it?
A lot of people want to see what happened when Steve went back in time and lived with Peggy Carter.
Right.
And I'm thinking
this
that we show the alternate timeline.
100% disagree. But go on.
But the whole show is a few episodes that's just Steve preemptively being right, so Hydra's here and this is and giving them a deep and be right, we're gonna speed run taking down Hydra and setting up the world to stop Thanos way before And
he doesn't do that.
No, but he's created because if you
so this is a
like a branch timeline that he's created when he travels back,
where he decides to retire and then immediately can't retire.
What do you mean?
Because the whole idea in Endgame is that he's not doing anything, and he's relaxing. It depends
on whether or not you believe that Steve went back and created a new timeline.
I do, because the timeline hasn't changed at the end of the movie,
which means that he has to have gone back and created a split or done a split timeline. Because I also don't think it's in Steve's nature to go back and then just sit by when nothing and let it be like, ah.
I 100% do, because he's literally gone through the entire plot of Endgame where they've been obsessed with trying to not break the timeline.
Yeah. Yeah, but does he? But they established.
He's literally gone through like the most like the Mission Impossible of time travel.
Yes, but
and then he's like, no more.
No, but they establish that by going back in time, you aren't affecting the present day. You can't affect the present. When you go back, you branch the timeline.
Yeah.
So you would live in a new timeline.
Right, well then that would be meaningless to him. Because he would know that there was an entire other branch timeline suffering.
But he can't...
It makes way more sense that he just rests.
But you can never go back...
It's canon that he just rests. That is just a thing that he does in Endgame. That is just a thing that he does that we see.
What do you mean?
We see him have a good time with Peggy. And
which he can do.
I don't think... I think this ruins his entire
We've
arc.
sاین 2 seconds.
I genuinely think this ruins his entire arc.
We've seen 2 seconds of him getting back.
His whole thing in the entirety of fucking Infinity War, like the entire Infinity Saga, is that this man has lost his purpose and now he keeps on trying to overdo everything, and he doesn't know how to he doesn't know how to let off, how to lose some steam, and then he loses some steam and he has a lovely time with Peggy. Yeah, and yes, there is the meme that he has just got to look at war atrocities go on for his life.
Yeah.
But, especially done by the US government. But, I think that's just reality, is that he can't do anything about it.
But he also...
Just keep it that it's the Peggy before. Before, yeah. Fine.
But also, we'll just say this, but regardless of whether or not he goes back in time and does things or doesn't do things... He has to create a branch timeline when he goes back. Anyway. Because the time travel literally doesn't work any other way. Like the in-universe time travel.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I'll just say very briefly. One of the things I hate is when people are like, why do people try to work out time travel? It's all fake anyway. Because it's like, no, things have to have rules. There has to be a level of consistency. You can, even if you break a time travel rule,
I get you.
You should have to explain how the rule was broken. Which is why
I think at least a nod saying we don't care is at least better than nothing. Because
like in Austin Powers,
it's but
Austin Powers is the best one where they're just go with it.
Sometimes, like in a story, you just have to occasionally go, guys, remember, this is a story and we're trying to tell a story. Yeah. And so that might just be enough for someone who desperately wants to know exactly how the time mechanic's working at any given time. But I don't know. Because no Steve. Steve's too much.
Fine.
Steve's too
fine.
Payroll aside, Steve's too much.
Fine. So I think then,
right,
the story of this should almost be like this group of people getting so close to figuring out that Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
and in the Clone Wars,
Franklin's the only one that actually realizes this and then gets killed off.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. You know how in the Clone Wars there's the arc where Fives figures out about Order 66?
It's basically the Fives arc from
and it's
from
like,
Clone
oh my
Wars.
God, it's all set up to kill the Jedi. And
conveniently gets killed off.
And then they're like, and then the Emperor basically figures out that he knows and then kills him, gets him killed off. This is something similar where...
Man, that story is so sad because you're genuinely there for a second being like, oh my God, he can fix everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no one needs to suffer. Oh.
Yeah.
That is a genuinely really good use of the prequels
yeah.
and understanding, like, everyone knows how this story has to go by the end of it,
which makes it more painful.
Painful when you see this person have all of this.
And to be fair, Better Call Saul is another prequel that is littered with those
moments. I'm sure we'll understand what you mean one day.
One day, in 50 years.
Yeah, I'll be like, yo, this show's good. Why didn't you ever mention it?
And then a bullet will go straight through your head.
Yo, but then I survived because I don't.
That's so true.
I survived 2 bullets exactly. We know this now.
Okay.
That's canon to the Marvel timeline, is that I personally survived 2 bullets.
Well, you survived 1 bullet, you died, and then you were brought
Thomas!
back. Yeah.
And then I die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
So do you like the idea of them getting really close to the Hydra?
I like the idea of a Hydra thing, yeah. Even if it's a B plot, and then the A plot is mostly the focus on him dealing with loss.
Yeah.
I can see it that
I don't understand this meme.
Yeah.
What are the lines?
Yeah, he's seeing the lines. He goes to bed and he sees lines.
Yeah,
he makes a line of cocaine in the shape of Ukraine.
No, not this again.
Much like in Lord of War when Jared Leto does that. Anyway, no. So I think this is kind of a story of over.
Oh, do you think of over across many decades, maybe?
No. When I'm saying over, this is more like hypercompensation because he's previously experienced putting too much trust in someone's hands.
Yeah.
And from his perspective, that has led to the death of so many of his loved ones.
Yeah.
So he trusted Frank Richards with this experiment.
Reed Richards, sorry.
Which one's Frank Richards?
Is his son. He's named after the grandfather.
Right. Yeah, Reed.
Although also I think Franklin Richards might also be the name of
sure.
Kang, who's a separate...
Sure. All right. Anyway.
That's Nathaniel Richards.
Cool.
Never mind.
Anyway, Reed, he puts all the trust in Reed Richards and then and his daughter, and he's like, oh my god, I can finally pass the torch at the Baxter building and all that.
Yeah.
And then they die. Right? And so this version of Franklin Storm has no capacity to really rely on other people for anything. And he becomes a control freak. So he could have been telling Peggy about this. He could have been telling Hank about this.
Yeah.
He could have been telling any of the people that we know, and we know at least we've seen them in previous movies and know that they at least are able to go, that person might be onto something. Right? And he doesn't trust them enough to tell them. He even maybe thinks that they're Hydra and then doesn't tell them and then dies.
I know.
Bing, we got it.
I really like that. My one thing that I'm thinking is and we might need to disregard. This might be a terrible idea.
Right, go on. You're right. Terrible idea.
Could we show what it looks like to be initiated into Hydra?
I think that's good. I think it has to be a character
that's not one of these guys.
I think it has to be veiled as to who exactly is being introduced. So I would see I would do this is that I would do this as the cold open, or no, I wouldn't do this as the cold open. I would have the cold open be the Baxter Building incident, and then title card, and then this would be the initiation thing, and the way that you hide who it is, because this is basically a who is it moment. Like it's a who is the rat kind of story. So you have it all first person perspective, so as to kind of hide who exactly is being involved.
I know who it is, and I know what you do.
Right, go on.
So I would say that it's the secretary character from Winter Soldier, the main Hydra guy.
Which one's the main Hydra guy?
Played by Robert Redford.
Oh.
Yeah. It's him. It's his
so we do just show him. No, because we know he's that guy from Winter Soldier.
We do a Palpatine in the first 2 prequels where if you know it's these two, but the movie doesn't outright say it.
Yeah, it's like, this is Chancellor Palpatine.
Yeah, and this is Darth Sidious.
This is Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
They're 2 very different people.
And I think that you can show his initiation as a younger agent anyway, because he would be younger at this time.
Yeah,
especially in if it's
so. What's his name again?
All
right, I'm gonna do an Act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So he's our bad guy.
Yeah, we got. But Pierce. I wouldn't even say that he because this is less a protagonist versus antagonist story, and this is more someone's
against...
internal demons not making him fail to do something where he could have easily won in another situation. And so Pierce is kind of more like the B plot villain, and then there is almost a hole where there would be like an A plot villain.
Yeah,
because it's literally just so much of his own internal consciousness is swarming him.
And he's also getting killed by the Winter Soldier, right? Like, we've got to...
Oh, we can do that. Yeah, baby! I didn't think about the Winter Soldier. All right.
And you can even play the Winter Soldier music. You know, that, like, screeching...
No, that's the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What is it?
No, it's the, like...
Oh, yeah.
That kind of... That's going to be really weird.
That's going to be great on this recording. But it's like all right, so there's Pierce, there's the Winter Soldier. He turns around and is like, "Oh, Bucky! Hello!"
He does.
No, I know, but it'd be funny. Peggy 18. Hank.
That's so dumb.
Stupid
That's
joke.
So stupid.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Franklin. Now, do you know? I've realised why I said Frank Reynolds.
What, you want him to be played by?
I realised that I was getting Danny DeVito from Always Sunny cross wiring in my head. Now hear me out.
I'm the science man.
could possibly hire Danny DeVito for a serious role.
I'm not
for
opposed.
An earnest role.
Opposed. I think
I could genuinely see that man bawling and crying about this, and it this is an unconventional role for Danny DeVito, but I could see that man
like a really
present day unconventional role. But back in the day, he was quite good at dramas.
Yeah, like LA Confidential.
That wasn't even remotely what I was talking about. I was talking about more like AT stuff that he used to do. In like LA Confidential, he's the funny man.
Or like Matilda, where he's also the funny man.
Yeah, you're just thinking of the ones where he's the funny man in a drama.
That's all I know him as.
Anyway.
Oh, the Penguin.
No, I can't remember the name of it, but there was one where it was in a in a mental institution.
I throw sadness all over the ring.
I drink your milkshake.
No.
Hydra trying to make an analogy about how they keep on using all the world's assets by going, I drink your milkshake. No, I slurp it up.
I'll take that.
Danny DeVito. Well, that was a joke, but I would.
I'll take it.
I don't know.
I'll take it. I'll take it because like he's an older man.
Hear me out.
He's an older man.
Hear me out. Dennis instead.
I actually was going to say that Dennis for Alexander Pierce. It's like a slightly younger.
Yeah,
so,
you're right.
So bear in mind,
I love how the Always Sunny thing was a joke, and now it is a serious conversation.
Mind, if we set this in the 80s, say, so it's when they've but the the experiment happens with like a DH
in the 60s.
A DH Danny DeVito in the 60s. Yeah. The initiation happens with Alexander Pierce in the 60s.
Sure.
Like we don't see him. Bear in mind,
it's kind of like an across town. This is happening at the same time type thing. Yeah,
and we show like
how old is he in 2014? Pierce. I think that's the main crux of this entire thing right now.
Or just Robert Redford in general.
Yeah, sure, but he does literally say like, me and Nick Fury did this thing back in the day at this time, and we were at this part of our career at this place. Doing this.
Is it this way spelled, or is it?
Sure.
Is
yes.
it IE or ER?
It's IE.
I've looked at Alexander Pierce.
Cool. Yeah, you did it right. That was correct.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the age though.
Just gone on the.
So he was in World War II. So he literally fought in World War II.
So that would make sense that he would. Yeah.
So he gets he's like a young man in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
He gets recruited
20s,
to Hydra.
Late 20s, 30s maybe.
He gets recruited to Hydra in his like 30s.
Yeah.
In the 60s, and we're now in the 80s. In his 50s, which is where
he would have matured enough to be an actual agent.
What's his name? Glenn, not Powell. We'll get it.
I don't know all 8 Glens. I'm sorry. Yeah, Glenn Close. That's who you were talking about, right?
Glenn Howerton.
Oh, you're talking about the guy that plays Dennis. Okay, right.
Yeah. Yeah, so he is then like him in the 80s.
Sure.
A bit older.
Sure.
A bit more, like, I think that works.
Yeah. Especially with Glenn Howerton, you can kind of de-age and up-age that guy.
You can age him up and down. And you don't even have to do any CGI. He's just does. His face just does that.
He's just a Ken doll of a man. Yeah, you can just kind of do both, can't you?
Yeah. So
we love you, Glenn.
Yeah. So
anyway.
I think he's kind of it's him and Peggy. Like he's like the subordinate to Peggy, right?
Glenn.
Yeah.
Pierce. Pierce.
Alexander Pierce is like the.
Yeah. Why specifically Peggy?
Because Peggy's running S.H.I.E.L.D. at this time.
Right.
So he's like in line.
So that would make
he's like
sense
in line.
He's the second in command, basically.
He's in line to become secretary when she steps down.
Yeah.
Maybe even she steps down. Maybe the real end
is later on in the timeline, and she steps down.
It's just showing her stepping down and him ascending, and you can have like
potentially
and again, I think the series should never outright show that he is Hydra, but like that you still get like like that shot of Palpatine in the Phantom Menace at the funeral, where it's going through the funeral, it's going past like all of the Jedi and stuff, and then it pans over to like Palpatine like coin-faced, like side on.
Yeah,
it's very clearly like
this guy's
doing some shady shit.
Yeah, this guy's a bit of a
There's
menace.
something going on, but like if I don't know, it's just,
maybe he's linked to this Sidious guy.
Yeah, and I think like doing that means that you can watch this in order and like not be spoiled.
This is just making me want to watch the prequels and see Watto. Hey, honey, hey.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so real.
I had got one of those in.
So, yeah, I think that works.
Yeah.
Really well.
Yeah.
The Franklin Richards stuff is so let's try and establish the timeline of events that happens with Franklin Richards
Franklin Storm.
He's on
Franklin Storm.
Franklin Storm. Sorry.
See, I got it right this time.
Sorry, Franklin Storm. Yes. Let's so the experiment goes wrong.
Yes.
So let's say the experiment is kind of similar to the
right. So I'm going to start writing stuff down.
Should we say that the experiment's kind of similar to the Fan 4 Stick ones? It's more of a teleportation than it is going up to space and doing something.
I don't think it matters. I genuinely don't think it matters.
Because for me, the idea of like him, I can
see you do the exact same emotional beat where he's just in the room afterwards and he's just sat there working out what the fuck to do with his life.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what the experiment is, and we're never going to know. Right?
Like him.
If anything, in order to make this in theory work as a concept, you have to make it so conditional proof,
right?
That it doesn't matter.
So then, what I would do is he's in like the control room,
Baxter building,
and we show. I think what we show is like.
You can probably even have him just like touching different cogs and gears from the equipment and hearing bits echo in his head from how it went wrong. So it's maybe...
Well, I was going to say that we start off with like him awaiting a response. Like, all right, guys, like, can you guys hear me? Are you guys all right? And getting nothing back.
And then,
And then like
walks into the room,
kind of like fading through time and like say like a few hours and stuff. And like the people that were there working in the building have started to go home.
Yeah.
And he's like the last one left. And he's like, just checking it, just radioing in anyone.
If
and
anything,
then, like,
eventually see, like, you could probably even, like, cut away to a wide and just see, like, the Baxter building of the MCU timeline just slowly erode and turn into just a generic New York building.
That would be how I would do the cut to the 80s. So, like, I would cut...
Yeah, you would do a time skip through that way.
I'd cut, like, from... I'd have that thing happen.
I'm going to focus you back into something.
Hydra.
Because Pierce is the more interesting bit of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to do the Baxter building bit.
Yeah.
Because it's just a clear emotional beat and it makes sense and it's fun in the timeline. The Pierce in Hydra.
Yeah.
Is where we need to kind of focus, I think.
Right.
What does that do to the wider story?
So...
Is Pierce the one... Winter Soldier is the one that actively kills...
Franklin
Storm at the end.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that down on resolution right now.
For me, the big thing of Pierce is that Hydra's got people in S.H.I.E.L.D. That's easy. You can have a janitor that works for Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D., but it doesn't mean anything unless you've got somebody at the top. And that's what the significance of Pierce taking over from Peggy would be.
Yeah.
Is that it's like part of this I feel like should be a manufactured, like, pushing Peggy into retirement.
I know how I'm going to do this.
Not how.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So I think we don't make it as cut and dry. I think we have stakes here. So Pierce is one of the people who could potentially take over from Peggy. And deep down, Peggy knows that this person is objectively a good candidate, but doesn't fully have her trust in Pierce.
Yeah.
There's something off about him. And the person she really does feel could run this and would probably benefit from having this environment around him would be Franklin Storm.
Yeah. I was going to say
So that would be the structure there, where I feel like the falling action in Act 4 is kind of the defeated, Pierce did get the gig. Franklin is so obsessed with getting to the bottom of this Hydra thing right now that he's kind of ignored the wider administration structural stuff going on and is kind of narrowed in on who is it, and kind of reclused, made himself remote and recluse from everyone else. And do you see?
No, I do. Yeah.
Right. So falling action, Pierce takes over.
So I think
Storm shuts down essentially.
I think we need a few things that like establish why Peggy would step down. And I think maybe Franklin's death could be a I've become ineffective in my age.
Which one's as in like?
So like Peggy steps down because Franklin.
No, because I think you have to have them step down before that.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. I feel like that's the the cogs are turning. This is where that's the Anakin's walked back into the room. This is where this is turning moment. Is more that Pierce is now in charge, or at least has more administrative rights in like Act 4, right? And so obviously Peggy, and obviously Act 5 is going to be Franklin Storm getting killed by the Winter Soldier. I think that's more him cutting, like him tying up loose ends towards the end. It's kind of like a slow defeat, a slow like wind down, rather than boom. You're looking for this.
Yeah.
Don't know why I made a War Machine reference.
So just checking.
Right,
1987. We still have access to Hank Pym. That all takes place in 87. Now don't say it.
There's a bite. And why don't we just set it in 1987? So we have the 60s, then we have the 80s.
Yeah.
And so that's the incident that means the Peggy quits.
What the Hank leaves.
Hank leaves. Peggy has
doubts about it.
Has doubts about staying and being in control.
And then has left by the end of.
Kind of it resigns in not quite disgrace, but like her own disgrace, I guess.
Yeah, she feels that like, if you failed Hank Pym.
I've failed Hank Pym. In some ways, I've failed my friend Franklin Storm.
Yeah. In
that I wasn't there when that happened, but you see, like someone like Peggy might feel guilty about that, even though they shouldn't.
Could we involve the nuke that is sent from Russia to the US that Hank Pym and Janet are trying to stop
into the plotline? Could do. Pierce is probably the one that instigates it.
But from the behind-the-scenes perspective, yeah.
What is the missile?
It's a nuke that's going to fly from somewhere in Russia to somewhere in
the US.
But it's not done by the Russians necessarily. It's done by like a rogue group.
Where it's supposed to look like it's the Russians to instigate the Cold War.
Yeah.
Right. I would say that, that's Cold War tensions is the rising action, essentially.
Yeah. What if
and the action sequence
the thing that Franklin stumbles upon
is Pierce giving the commands or something?
Well, no, not Pierce exactly.
Yeah, but someone.
But he's figured out that there's a certain like thing. There's some communications that are going on a certain frequency. Because Franklin is used to.
I got it.
Can I just
go on?
So Franklin is used to like he's very knowledgeable about using frequencies for communication stuff because that's part of what he was testing with the Fantastic Four. One of the many things,
right,
is just testing how frequencies across different space, time, stuff like that.
He hits a frequency, a radio frequency,
and he's just doing his stuff, and he's there's clearly a frequency that's in Russian. And he's
coming from the building.
And he's well, I think clearly we've got spies of some kind.
I think that's one good way. I think another good way of peppering it in before that is my idea, so they can kind of coexist, which is that he is so there is probably a control room environment that's going on for this operation, and Hank Pym and his wife are the ones out there on the front lines, whatever.
Yeah.
But it feels almost like the control room in the Baxter Building experiment, and because of that, he's on edge and he's micro-analyzing every single person in the room. So the kind of guy that's doing the Gallagher game,
he's
in Avengers 1 is someone he's hyper focused on. He's really drilled into what he's doing, and because of that, he sees certain people leave the room at certain times and certain people come in the room at certain times. And he goes, "That's a bit odd.
I could even see
came in when this happened."
I could even see how you would shoot it, where it's
it's paranoia. It's almost justified paranoia, but it's paranoia.
Yeah.
So Cold War tensions gets a hint. Plus frequency.
I think
I would then say that the action climax is that the Hank Pym stuff is all going horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And you're cutting to that, but you're also cutting to Franklin Storm literally chasing someone down.
Yeah.
At the same time. So the chase plus the bomb. And that mission obviously goes horribly wrong, right?
Yeah, where Janet dies or disappears.
And so, technically, Franklin Storm would have been a help in that control room at that time.
Yeah.
But he was busy chasing someone down. And when Peggy Carter is hearing this man say, "No, you don't understand, one of our officers is bad and I chased him down into the toilets," or something.
It's you are.
You have lost it. And not only that, you have a track record of being perfectly, you probably are mentally ill in some way. You have gone through some genuinely traumatic shit, losing your entire family. You are now dismissed. Peggy also gets dismissed. Pierce grows in the ranks, and then through that, Franklin continues the hunt, but now outside of S.H.I.E.L.D., gets killed by Winter Soldier. That's how I would do it. That's how I would say that the climax moment in the middle is the Hank Pym incident.
Yeah. I think Peggy has to resign rather than being dismissed.
No, but that's okay. I mean resign. So that's
because the way I see it is that Hank Pym very soon after has his whole quitting in front of everyone.
Yeah.
With Franklin Richards isn't there. He's not in that scene.
Yeah.
Unless he's behind the camera at all times.
I'm now just imagining Danny DeVito in every circumstance.
No, but
you don't understand. You don't understand. It was the guy. He went to the toilet.
I'm thinking after that meeting, we have we show that meeting again, pretty much. But we have a scene with her and Howard Stark,
in a bar or something. I would say afterwards.
Yeah,
she's probably gone shot for shot at a bar.
Yeah,
and then he's found her in some absolute stinker.
And then
tavern.
and then her being I don't know if I should be doing this anymore.
Yeah,
and then
when does Howard Stark die? Jamie pulled that up
in 1991.
Okay,
you don't need Jamie. I'm here.
You're here.
December 16th, 1991.
The autistic man knows all.
It's in Civil War they repeat that date several times in the movie. It's just drilled into me.
Right.
But
so actually that's more poignant because Howard Stark's got 4 years.
Yeah.
But you make it the old Howard rather than the young Howard.
Yeah. But I also think that part of the pain of it,
right,
is that it is Howard, if Howard suggests, maybe it is time to retire. You've earned it. No one's earned it more than you have.
And she doesn't feel like that right now.
Well, she doesn't feel like that. But then after maybe like he like convinces her that like, you know, at some point in your life you're going to have to step away.
Yeah.
And it's better to step away than to be removed.
Yeah.
And like it's also better to step away than to just die in the job as well.
Yeah. And especially because they've just seen one of their friends die, essentially.
Yeah. And he makes like assurances that like, you know, because Howard Stark basically I assume is the one who funds S.H.I.E.L.D. pretty much.
At this point, yeah.
I don't think he works there at all.
Yeah, but he's probably he's at least a donor.
Yeah. And so I think he just is like, look, you'll get a good pension. Everything's going to be, you're going to be taken care of. Yeah. You can relax.
That's probably the one thing that Peggy doesn't want to hear right now is you'll be taken care of, because then it reminds her that she did not just take care of. Yeah. No, that's great. That would be a great line. And
then, so she then retires.
Yeah.
And Pierce is like named as the next.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's I assume he's director and then becomes secretary.
Oh, hear me out.
He graduates from.
Hear me out. So when we're in the falling action of everyone's feeling defeated, and then Pierce gets promoted.
Yeah.
This is when he says to someone just to vibe test Hail Hydra, and then they inform him of the Winter Soldier program. Because he's now got higher clearance.
Yeah.
And then this is like his first time meeting Bucky ever.
Okay, so maybe
is killing.
Okay. I was against.
Do you see the logic?
I was against them showing him, but actually, like,
Bucky himself. Or at least an implication that we're talking about the Winter Soldier program now, and then
I agree.
I think you end with a Winter Soldier kill. I really do.
It's killing.
But I mean, like, proper, like,
and
you see Bucky.
Brutal, and it should be brutal,
absolutely fucked.
Like the killing of Howard Stark. How it's like...
I can see... Do you know what I can see happening with this? I think this is genuinely a very good story, but if they ever did this, I could see all of the Bucky fans going, No! Don't show him killing a favourite Glupshitto, like one of the Fantastic Four characters.
Yeah.
It's okay when you kill Howard Stark or whatever, but not when it's Franklin Storm.
I think it's... I can really see it as like being a really brutal death.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like a brutal in like a he's just shot from a sniper. I think it's like they send the Winter Soldier in like plain clothes.
Yeah.
To like pull him into a side alley and beat him to death.
He's the guy that he is trying to go get contacts from. He thinks he's like crack the case and he's going to go to someone to get some info.
That would be such a good reveal.
Oh, wait, no, he's about to interrogate someone. He turns that person around.
No.
Winter Soldier.
No, I don't think I think you're right in that, like, he thinks he's found, like, he's like, look,
I've cracked the case.
I've cracked the case. I've figured it out.
Yeah.
And you don't show who he's meeting. And he's there's like guy in a cap and whatever. And he's like, look, I've got this information and I know who it is.
Yeah.
It's Alexander Pierce. And he's like, and then you like, and that's when you reveal that it's Bucky on the, like, as the guy who he's talking to.
Yeah.
And like the second he has confirmation that he knows, it's like dead, like just beaten the fuck up.
Yeah. Right, that's good. I think that's it. I think we cracked it.
Hold on.
What? I genuinely think there's nothing else to add. That's good. That's locked. That's tight.
Maybe show a young Nick Fury as like the thing, or like
no.
I do like your idea of the
I
Hydra.
don't think Nick Fury is off seas.
Yeah,
he's doing a remote operation.
I do like your idea of like showing, because I assume that what happens here is that by Pierce becoming the top person at S.H.I.E.L.D., he basically also becomes the top person at Hydra. Like out of no.
Yeah, it's a coming of age story for an evil person that wants to be an authoritarian ruler of the world.
Because I actually like the idea if there's a scene that mirrors the opening with him being initiated.
Yeah.
Where it's like him being like...
It's a full arc for him.
Yeah, him being like crowned.
Yeah.
King Hydra or whatever.
It's his Megatron arc.
Yeah. Rise up!
Rise up! Right. That's it.
But it's whispered.
Yeah, it's locked.
Rise up.
Locked in. Hail Hydra.
I think that was good.
Yeah.
And
what do we call this? I think we call this Hydra. We call this like Hail Hydra. I
think the Franklin Richards thing is... Oh, what would the show be called?
No, as in obviously the episode that we're on is going to be Franklin Storm. Not Franklin Richards for the millionth. It's Franklin Storm.
Call it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just to really piss people off.
I think you call it Hydra.
Agents of Hydra S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, you just call it like, I don't know, or you go really you. Now, I'm not making a joke here. I'm being sincere.
Right.
The Mission of 87. Or something similar to that. I'm not doing a Bite of 87 bit right now. You just call it like the 1987 file or something.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, where you kind of almost make it like a revealed, almost like it's in universe a declassified file that's finally made public in 2025, but informs us that, it informs us of things that we previously did not know, like the Fantastic Four were technically in the mainline MCU, and if you were in the public, you would go, oh, piss.
Welcome. We call it New World Order.
Terrible. Taking the piss. And it's fine. We don't have to come up with a name. That can be for the boys.
An Alexander Pierce story.
Right.
We call it Pierce.
Right.
A Marvel story. Rogue Pierce.
Storm's coming. Storm's coming.
It's called Storm, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's going to be a show about the
Human Torch."
Yeah, no, it's going to be a show about Storm, the X-Men character, and then it's like, no, it's about Franklin Storm.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. A really good show idea that we have, and then we ruin it by
what if we call it
hyping it up to random people?
What if we call it like
the
DeVito show? You know, like old sitcoms used to have like the actor's name instead of the character's name for some reason.
Baxter.
The Baxter Initiative. It's hard. Naming stuff's hard.
I think Mission's like declassified file 1987.
Yeah.
Especially because this is going straight to Disney.
What if you just...
This would be a special look. This would be a special look.
S.H.I.E.L.D. declassified or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
The more we think about it, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a good one.
That was. That's going to be shorter than normal.
That's good. It's fine. Nebula was 38 minutes or something.
This has been an hour, but then we've cut fucking loads.
It's a head pull. It's a head pull, but good.
Yeah. It's good. Well, head pull was fun.
Was head pull good on the?
I don't know.
Re-listen?
I don't know.
You at least listened to it again.
I did, but. To be fair, it didn't need much. I'll be honest, it didn't need much editing, is what I'll say.
Rough. All right. Okay.
All right.
Right, with that, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.